Okay, let's do some dependency mapping. But first, let's take a look at an actual dependency map and show the goal of what we're trying to achieve. So what we can see here is an application called EC, and we can see that that application depends on a bunch of different services on a server, and these services then in turn depend upon some mount points and volumes, or potentially on databases, even on other servers. But once you have a dependency map like this, the nice thing about it is that you can interact with it. So if I wanted to focus in on a particular object here, in this case we'll just focus in on this one service, PHP, we can see everything related to it. So once you have a dependency map, one of the popular use cases is to look at an impact analysis. So here we'll do an impact analysis of the PHP service, and we can see what would be adversely impacted by that. So if this PHP service were to fail, we can see that the EC app is also failing. And likewise, we can go in the other direction where we ask Blueprints here to show us the dependencies of that object, and let's add it to the diagram. And so at this point now we've picked up the PHP service and everything downstream of it, and we can see what that PHP service depends upon and what could cause it to fail. So that's how you interact with a dependency map, but let's go ahead and see how we can build one. So first let's clear the screen. Now let's start creating some objects and the relationships between them. First we'll create an app called blogs, and then let's go ahead and create another server, and we'll call this AP4. And now we have the blogs app, and we can, let's say the blogs app depends upon, so we use the needs relationship, and it needs a new service, WordPress, and that's on AP4. So that's a very simple dependency map. It just shows us the application needing the service, which is hosted on this server. But we're going to build this out a little bit further to be a little more representative of something we might have in the real world. So on that AP4 server, let's go ahead and have WordPress needing a new database, and we'll just call that Word. And from there we might have that WordPress service on AP4 also needing a new service cron, and maybe also a new mount point export home, and a new service PHP. So now we can see the WordPress service has 4 total dependencies here. And in fact there's also a 5th dependency, in that WordPress depends upon the service or the server itself that is hosting it. And so we'll build it out just a little bit further. Let's say that that the PHP service needs a new service, Apache. So that's a service that didn't exist, and we just built it there. And let's go ahead and create another application just so we can show how multiple applications can depend upon the same server. So we'll call this one, this app, Wiki. And we can say that Wiki needs that WordPress service. And maybe there's also a new database. So Wiki, needs a new DB. We'll call that data. And so there you have it. Now we have a dependency map of 2 different applications depending upon services deployed on this AP4 server. And if you've modeled this correctly, your dependency map can now serve as the foundation for that analysis. So if I said, just show me the dependencies of the blogs application, and so now I'll see only the things that the blogs application depends upon. But if I want to see perhaps everything that could be impacted by a failure of WordPress, I can come to the views here and say show me an impact analysis of WordPress, and so now we can see that that would cause a failure of both of those applications. Or if I wanted to see what would fail if the server were to fail, so let's do an impact analysis of the server. And so everything on the server would be failing if that server were to fail, in addition to the applications themselves. So there you have it. That's the basics on building out a dependency map and how you can interact with that dependency map to do impact analysis and dependency analysis.